I'm talking about drinks that you can have every day to burn fat and repair the body. Sounds pretty fantastical. The biggest lever is something that I'll talk about at the end of this podcast. But certain drinks could help you lose weight by suppressing your appetite, increasing your body's fat burning ability, and even stimulate metabolism. So I'm going to talk about my 3 drinks that you should be thinking about drinking every day if that's what you're interested in. Number 1 is Celium Husk. Now, you can find Celium in most health shops as a popular fiber supplement. Now, it comes from the tiny seeds of a shrub-like plant known as the Plantaga ovata. And there are lots of different trials that show people who are overweight or obese taking Celium Husk before meals is linked to noticeable weight loss. How on earth is this possible? Well, on average, looking at a study, people lost 2.1 kilograms in just under 5 months. So if you project that over a year, that could mean losing around 5.3 kilograms, which is roughly 6% of their starting weight. This is pretty significant because we know that losing just 5 to 10% of your body weight has been shown to improve health markers. Celium comes in many different forms in the seeds that you put into water, but also in a powdered form as well. So I'll talk about how you can take it in just a moment. But there are other health benefits of taking Celium, which is why I personally take Celium Husk most days as well. What's interesting about Celium is that it has effects on important health markers, including blood sugar levels and cholesterol levels. And in fact, it's the only isolated fiber that is recommended by the American College of Gastroenterology for treating IBS and by the American Gastroenterological Association for chronic constipation as well. So it has benefits outside of weight loss. And if we look at why this might work, well, the special power of Celium is its ability to absorb water, and it forms like a viscous gel-like substance. Think of it like aloe vera, coating the inner lining of your digestive tract. So when in the gut, it increases the thickness or the viscosity of the liquid of food mixed with digestive juices, and this is called the chyme. And it has 2 main effects. Number 1 is satiety. So it actually increases your feelings of fullness, which can ultimately lead to lower calorie intake, lower energy intake from food. And if you've listened to the podcast or the video on weight loss that I've done, the main lever that you can pull is ensuring that you're not taking in as much energy. That is what's going to lead to weight loss in its entirety. That's how you lose body fat. That is how you improve visceral fat. That is how you improve liver fat as well. So just reducing your energy intake. So if you can drink something that increases those feelings of fullness, that leads to less energy intake, that's how Celium is probably going to be having its major effect. A secondary effect is better blood sugar levels. It actually slows down the degradation and absorption of nutrients, which lowers glucose levels after a meal and improves that glycemic control. So if you go back to that idea of a gel that's coating the inner lining of your digestive tract, it will slow down the absorption of sugars from food, which leads to a much blunter sugar level if we measure it in your blood. So your blood sugar is going to be a lot lower as well. In the short term, it can help reduce hunger and cravings, and over time it can lower insulin resistance, which essentially protects your body from metabolic complications like type 2 diabetes and obesity as well. If you go back to this diagram, another reason why you might also find that Celium has benefits beyond just weight control is its ability to block the reabsorption of cholesterol into circulation and encourage it to be excreted as well. So there are some studies that show when you take Celium Husk every single day, either in a drink or in food, then it will reduce your LDL cholesterol, which stands to reason can improve your cardiovascular disease risk profile. So it can reduce your risk of having heart attacks and strokes. If you're thinking about taking Celium, something I do as well, not just for weight control, but the digestive health benefits and the benefits to cholesterol, I would highly recommend you start slow. And the reason why I say start slow, particularly if you're on a low fiber diet, is that introducing this quite powerful fiber into your digestive tract and into your daily habits can come with side effects as well that I'll go into. I would start with around 5 grams per day and then titrate upwards every single week. So starting with 5 grams once a day for a week, seeing how you feel, and then going upwards. For significant weight loss to occur, most of the studies look at between 10 to 15 grams per day, and that's around 1 to 2 tablespoons, dissolved in a glass of water just before or with meals for sufficient duration, so a couple of months at least. You're not going to have this miraculous weight loss after just taking it for a week or so. Please do it with plenty of water. And like I said, it stands to reason. I just want to harbor this point. If you're not used to taking psyllium, it's best to start with a lower dose and then gradually increase or spread throughout the day, like a teaspoon a couple of times a day rather than all in one sitting. The reason why you want to take it with plenty of water is to avoid bloating. So if your microbes suddenly get psyllium into the digestive tract, they're having a bit of a party. It can also suck in a lot of water as well. So you want to make sure that you're having plenty of water, at least 300 mils per tablespoon of psyllium is what has been recommended online as well. The other really good thing about psyllium is you can use it in multiple different ways. If you're not really a fan of taking this supplement in water, because to be honest, it does get a bit claggy, it's not particularly tasty, I actually put it in bread and baking. So you can actually add chia seeds with Celium Husk and some flavors like nuts and seeds, and then I bake it. I've done a recipe online. You can get it on the Doctor's Kitchen app. If you just type in Doctor's Kitchen app or go to thedoctorskitchen.com and look at our bread recipes, we use Celium Husk in bread that potentially has that cholesterol lowering effect as well. It's a really good gluten-free agent because it's quite sticky. So you get that lovely sort of the stickiness that you get with gluten products. And if you're sensitive to gluten or you're intolerant of gluten in its entirety, psyllium is something that I would recommend using in baking as well. So psyllium is one of my favorite supplements overall, not just because of the benefits to weight loss, but also because of those benefits to cholesterol and those gut health benefits as well. It can help with IBS, like I've said, and help with constipation too. Just a quick one. If you're enjoying this kind of content, you will love our free newsletter called Seasonal Sundays. It goes into depth on a seasonal ingredient every Sunday, and we talk about the nutritional medicine benefits, the research, and the culinary uses of an ingredient every Sunday with recipes included. You can get access to the free newsletter in the link just down below. Second drink that I would recommend if you're interested in drinks for fat loss is green tea. Now, there was a recent analysis of 26 human trials published in Phytotherapy Research that found that green tea significantly lowered people's BMI and body weight. The amounts that have been recommended are around 500 milligrams of green tea for periods of around 12 weeks or so. That appears to be the sweet spot by which you may see some significant benefits to BMI and weight as well. I personally prefer to get my green tea from actual tea and actually drinking and enjoying green tea rather than the extracts. But you will notice extracts of green tea in lots of different powdered drinks out there. There is varying quality, and that's why I prefer to go to a really high quality green tea manufacturer or producer where you can actually enjoy the loose leaf varieties. And there are so many different varieties that give you meaningful doses of what you find in green tea. So when you think about green tea, it's not just the tea leaves, you're actually getting all these different polyphenols, these different chemicals, including catechins, as well as caffeine. And those may be responsible for some of the benefits to weight loss that we've observed in these different trials. A typical cup of green tea usually contains anywhere between 200 and 250 milligrams of a green tea that has been shown to have those different benefits. So 2 to 3 cups of green tea per day is the equivalent of a 500 milligram green tea extract. Why is this potentially having this benefit? Well, like I said, it contains high amounts of catechin polyphenols, especially something called ECGC, that's epicatechin gallate. And this has an anti-obesity effect, potentially by increasing your fat burning ability. So it tells your fat cells to essentially utilize them into fatty acids and oxidize those for energy. Now, the body has a preferential energy usage of glucose. So it preferentially uses sugar to burn and convert into energy. But it does have the ability to metabolically switch and use fats instead. So what green tea can do, and other catechin containing drinks, things like coffee as well, have the ability to tell your body, we can use some fatty acids instead for oxidation. The effect is marginal, like all these different drinks, but it does appear to have this benefit as demonstrated by some of these clinical trials and the reviews of all the different trials that we've seen as well. It also has the ability to increase energy expenditure as well, independent of the metabolic switching effect. So drinking green tea utilizes a bit more energy, and that energy imbalance, so reducing the amount of energy that you're intaking and increasing the amount of energy that you're expending, stands to reason will lead to fat loss. It also has another interesting effect, which is lowering appetite. This will lower your food intake, and again, looking at that energy imbalance, you're taking in less food, you're expending more food. So this all explains the potential for green tea to increase fat loss. This is what's so interesting about different teas. I mean, there's oolong tea, there are different varieties of green tea. You've got Darjeeling, for example, different flushes. There's a whole world of complex phytochemicals that all have this potential ability with their catechin content to liberate stored fat. So the fat that you store around your organs or in the subcutaneous level as well, liberating those fatty acids for energy, but also potentially encouraging to eat less as well. These are all really interesting ideas that can supplement a diet and exercise program to just give you those extra gains and potentially even keep you motivated as well. Because if something that you're intaking every single day is encouraging your appetite to be more appropriate such that you eat less, that's something that you might want to introduce into your daily regime. Obviously, my preference is to have green tea in the form of actual tea, but there is a caveat in that the type of tea you're drinking varies from brand to brand and from cup to cup as well, depending on the specialties of tea, the length of steeping. My advice, if you're drinking it every day for health purposes, is to avoid tea bags and go for the high quality natural versions that are loose leaf to reduce your exposure to microplastics, and also buy from reputable tea producers that can tell you about not only the quality of the tea, but potentially even third-party testing that demonstrate the quality and the purity of their tea, and also their supply chain as well. Where are they sourcing the tea from? Do they know their producers? Have they visited the farms? These are all little clues that give you an idea as to whether the person or the company that you're buying from actually understands where the product is being sourced from. And I think that, especially for something as expensive as green tea that can cost 20 to 30 pounds per month, especially if you drink it every single day, I think these are all things that you should sort of do to cover your bases to ensure you're getting a quality product that could potentially have those benefits as well. Number 3 is water. Yes, drinking more water can help you lose weight. It's essential for health, obviously, and hydration. But to make it a bit more fun and to add potentially an anti-inflammatory element to it as well, you can infuse it with whole spices. Some of my favorites include cinnamon, fennel seeds, raw ginger, or fruits like lemon, lime, cucumber, frozen berries. These are all ways in which you can make your water a little bit more interesting. I know a lot of people struggle to just have plain water. It's not fun, particularly if you're transitioning from full fat sodas or diet sodas as well, and then going to water. It's not going to have the same hit. It's not going to have the same flavor. But if you infuse your water and actually use natural compounds that also have the anti-inflammatory action that can also help with weight loss as well, then it stands to reason that we should be leaning into more of these things that you can do cheaply and at home using your own products and using your own filters. It's a really interesting idea and something that I think is a great activity if you're looking to introduce chemicals and drinks to enhance weight loss. But how can drinking more water help in the first place? Well, there are a few clinical studies, human trials that show that high intake of water, i.e. increased hydration, can contribute to weight loss and maintaining a healthy weight by appetite regulation. So essentially, when you drink water, you increase the distension of your digestive tract and your stomach as well. And that distension of the stomach signals to your brain satiety. I've had enough here. We've got a lot going on here. We're bursting at the seams. This is a signal to your brain. We've got enough food here. We can't take any more down. Plus, thirst can also be confused with hunger. I know a lot of people that will reach for a snack before they reach for a drink of water. Thirst can be confused with hunger by the brain. So think about drinking water before you reach for a snack if you're getting that hunger signal. I'm feeling hungry right now. What could it be? Is it because I haven't had enough food? Is it because I hadn't enough protein? Or is it because I'm actually thirsty? And we know a lot of people underhydrate throughout the day as well. So before a meal, you could also think about having a little bit of water to reduce your cravings and overall energy intake as well, if you struggle with over-consuming energy at meal times. Particularly if you're in front of a buffet, think about having water before you grab your plate and go dive in. Another very simple explanation for the impact of water or drinking more water is the fact that you are switching sugar-sweetened beverages such as juice, soda, sweetened tea, sweetened coffee for water, which has 0 calories. So you're again contributing to a reduction in overall energy intake, which is the biggest lever when it comes to weight loss as well. So if you're swapping out sugar-sweetened beverage that mainlines sugar into your liver, encourages your liver to pump out fats, and instead you're having water that is satiating, that is going to reduce your overall energy intake when you do sit down to eat, it stands to reason why this is actually such a simple but effective strategy as well. The other thing that water may do is stimulate your metabolism and energy expenditure. There are a few experimental studies that report that drinking water may induce something called thermogenesis and slightly increase your metabolic rate. So it increases the rate at which you are burning off energy, burning off fats, burning off sugars for energy production, and thus overall increasing your energy expenditure, which by now, I've said it multiple times during this little video, it will create that energy imbalance and it will ultimately lead to weight loss. If you're expending more energy than you're taking in, it's going to lead to weight loss. It's going to lead to fat loss as well. But this whole area needs to be a bit more fully explored as well, because there are lots of limitations with these different studies as well. And if you're well hydrated, it's going to make your exercise a lot more efficient. Again, contributing to that energy imbalance as well. You're going to be burning off slightly. I know exercise isn't the best way of creating that energy imbalance, but if you are having water and you're doing exercise regularly, it's going to improve your ability to power through and expend that slightly more energy, which over time can have a significant effect as well. I think the other reason why water is so important is because worldwide population surveys actually estimate that 50% of people drink less water than recommended, indicating that consistent, proper hydration may actually be beneficial for many different individuals. And the National Academies of Medicine suggest that most women consume 6 to 9 cups, that's 1.5 to 2.2 liters of fluids daily. And for men, it's around 8 to 12 cups or 2 to 3 liters. If you want to be a little bit more accurate about it, you can stagger that water across the day, which is something that I recommend people do, rather than just blocking all your water intake at the start of the day, because your kidneys will essentially flush that through, and then your metabolic processes do not stop throughout the whole day. And so you could be hydrated in the morning and not hydrated enough in the afternoon. Always think around that 2 to 3 p.m. time. If you've had enough water, I actually have like a reminder on my phone to remind myself just to drink water. And ultimately that's actually had a massive reduction on my snacking, because I tend to snack out of boredom, but I'm also probably responding to an underhydration cue as well. I don't think you need to have those big, dumb jugs of water that everyone is actually drinking right now, like my videographer. If it helps you, great, but as long as you're having that reminder in the middle of the day and later on in the afternoon to drink, it could ultimately lead you to consume less energy in the form of food and snacking and increase your fat loss as a result of that energy imbalance. I'm going to give you a couple of bonuses here. Apple cider vinegar. That's the fourth thing. You'll hear a lot of anecdotal claims that apple cider vinegar can aid weight loss, and people take it as a shot diluted in water, always dilute it, or they put it into dressings, or they have it as part of a meal. There are like shots that have put apple juice in and all the rest of it. There is evidence, but it is small. There was a randomized controlled trial published in the BMJ, and they found that giving people a shot of apple cider vinegar, so that's about 10 to 15 mils, diluted in water first thing in the morning, reduced their weight, reduced their BMI, reduced their waist to hip circumference and body fat ratio as well. Plus, it was linked to improved glucose levels. I've done a full podcast episode on apple cider vinegar to find out more about that. If you're interested in apple cider vinegar, like I said, the evidence is a bit scanty and small, but there does appear to be something going on there, whether that's because of the fermented effect, whether or not it's because of the gastric emptying effect, whether or not it's because it's flattening your glucose levels as well. It's hard to say, but it was interesting. So there is some evidence for it. If you are interested, dilute it in a good cup of water because it can be quite abrasive to the back of your throat. And if you do have gastritis of any severity, I would highly recommend you do not take vinegar, even diluted, because the extra acidity can potentially exacerbate that condition as well. And always dilute it. Like I said, I'm going to harbor the point, dilute it or have it as part of a salad and a dressing if you want to experiment with apple cider vinegar. The other thing is a bonus, it's coffee. I always have a shot of coffee in the morning after about 45 to 60 minutes after waking, with plenty of water because it is a diuretic. But I also use it for two reasons prior to working out. A, the caffeine content has been demonstrated to improve performance. So whether that's in the form of coffee or a caffeine supplement, it's been shown to improve performance, which again is going to make you work harder. And that extra expenditure from your muscles is going to create that energy imbalance, and that's going to ensure that you are burning off more energy, slightly more, and that's going to lead to fat loss. The other thing that coffee does, in the same way that green tea does, is that it mobilizes those fats, and it will push your body to burn more fatty acids as energy. So you're going to be preferentially utilizing those fat stores wherever there might be, whether it's subcutaneous fat, whether it's around your liver or in your liver. These are all things that could just push you to better metabolic health as well. I said at the top of this that the main lever is going to be energy imbalance. And there are lots of different ways in which you can do that. And the biggest way to do that is with diet. Whatever diet you prefer, as long as that diet puts you in an energy imbalance, so a calorie deficit, that is going to lead to weight loss. That is going to lead to fat loss. And that is the biggest lever that you can pull, regardless of what anyone says online. If you want to dive deeper into that topic, I've done a fantastic full-length episode on weight loss and all the different triggers and levers that you can pull for weight loss, including diet, exercise, fasting regimes, and obesogens, and what to steer clear of on this episode right here. You can go check it out right now.